If you need to get across a waterway that's too far to swim and you don't have a boat with you, could make a raft. Or if you happen to have a cart with you because you've been out mining, you can just jump in the cart and walk across the waterway. Doesn't even use up any stamina. When you get to the other side, just jump out. Your cart will always right itself and drag it to shore. Hey you, go away. Leave my cart alone. And if a troll knocks your cart out too far, you can swim with it to get it back to shore. Ta-da! Here I am at one of my first little bases before I knew how to make really smooth ground and roads, with a cart chock full of silver. If I try to walk, not really getting anywhere. I can try to run, get my stamina going, and get it going. And I can make it that way some, but it's really hard. Some places, unless it's really flat, you're just gonna Scooby-Doo and not make it anywhere. If you keep it under 2,000 pounds, this is about 2,500 right here, you can get up most places. Although, the heavier it is, the slower you're gonna go, of course. If you're out in the middle of nowhere and pulling it, pull out your hoe. Make things a little bit easier for yourself by just making a little path as you go along. And a quick little tip, did you know if you're pulling a cart along and a mob comes up, you can get loose real quick by hitting Control Spacebar to roll right out of there. If you want tips on how to make smooth paths and gentle slopes, check out the video in the link below. If you have a cart with 5 different items in it, then 3 boxes will show up on top of the cart. But it's best to add 9 so that this little barrel shows up too. That way, when you destroy the cart, you get 3 separate cargo boxes because it will consolidate the items that are inside. As long as you have enough to go over the 8 items for 2 boxes, it'll give you a 3rd. And they also continue to be storage. As long as you leave at least 1 item of something in there, they will not despawn. One of the challenges that we have with the cart in Valheim is moving it around the mountains, right? You can make a little path if it's a place that you're going to be returning to often to make this a bit easier. But what about getting it down the mountain without dying? One possibility is that you can just try to find a relatively smooth spot and just run for it down the mountain. And you may have some challenges along the way. Yeah, that's not good. If, however, your cart does break, you can always just pick up the stuff, rebuild your cart, and keep going. So this means that actually just pushing your cart off a mountain is a viable option. If it breaks, it's not the end of the world. There we go. That was much faster than trying to pull that thing down a mountain. Say you've been out gathering some heavy resources, like stone or fine wood. Now you're all filled up and want to go back through your portal, but you can't take the cart even though it would be handy to have it with you on the other side. This is what you do. Pull out your trusty axe and destroy your cart. Now, all of the resources inside are still there in nice bundles of 50, as well as the bronze nails to make the cart. Now, you can load up as much as you can. Doesn't matter if you're overburdened, because you can walk through a portal while you're overburdened. Once you come out the other side, rebuild your cart, Load it back up. Just make a couple trips to get your cart and everything that you want inside where you want it to be. Of course, you can use the cart just as storage sitting around your base, but there are also creative ways of using it so that it looks a little bit different. For example, did you know you get this extra little bucket in the middle? When you're looking at the amount of storage that you can have, early game you can build the chest, which gives you 2 by 5. However, a cart gives you 3 by 6, and you can build this early on. All you need is 10 bronze nails and 20 wood. So it's in between the size of a wooden chest and a reinforced chest. You can also make things look more interesting in your base, like stacking your carts in different ways. And even when they're stacked, you can still reach the storage. This stack has extra space between them, but you can put this one lower as well. So the way that I made this was, I put down a 2-meter beam. I don't want it to snap into the floor like that. Hold shift if you need to, and get it above the floor, because the distance between these is not going to be exactly the same size as a floor tile. And if you sink one of them and not the other, you're going to be uneven on one side. So I'm going to line it up with the tile just so that it makes it easier to know where to space the next one on the other side. Now I'm going to place my cart. I want to place it just where the basket part of the cart is, right at the edge of that log beam. That'll keep it holding at the right height. And pay attention to how far your cartwheel is out from your line that you're measuring from, so you can try to estimate and get the higher ones at the same depth. Now I'm going to put another beam behind the back, just under where the basket is. Now I can start stacking my beams up. Make sure that you're pointing at the wood beam beneath you for spacing it and not at the wall. If you're pointing at the wall, you could end up with different heights. Even though I can't build something onto the cart, I can build on the objects around it. That's for the depth of the cart. Let me put one more for spacing. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to make these shelves a little bit closer together than on that one, so you can see how it works. Now I'm going to put a floor over my cart, because you can't build a cart on another cart, but you can build it on a floor directly above that cart. You can snap it into one side and then do a small 1x1 to fill in the gap on the other side. But since those blocks are free placed, they may not exactly fit that well. So what I prefer doing is using shift click and just placing it in the middle by pointing towards the wall behind. I can still reach my storage, so I'm good to go. Now I add another level up for the handles to rest on. Add in another cart, pointing at the floor beneath it. Make sure you notice your distance from the edge so it matches the one below. And rinse and repeat. You do want to be a little bit careful when you're placing the blocks on the front or back edge that you don't go too far into the cart, because if you get too far into it, it can make the cart start vibrating, and then everything will break up and fall apart. We don't want that. And voila! A stack of carts. Of course, you do have these handles hanging out over here on the end, so you could do something to hide them, or maybe do something creative with them. You can't build on them, but you can build right around them. I don't know about you guys, but to me, this looks like coat hooks. Ta-da! Another way to use a cart as a more unique looking storage is to integrate it into the wall, like it's just a big basket. The way that I did this was to place down some beams to the right height for the handles, line it up to where the front edge of the cart is at the edge of the floor, and then return the stone. And you can build around it however you like. If you want it at more of an angle, scoot it back some. If you want it more straight, scoot it forward some. If you want it higher in the wall, build up to the height that you want it to be. Give yourself a platform to sit it on. I'm putting this floor right in between those two wood beams, not where it snaps. So shift and put it right in the middle. Place your cart. Return your wall. Now if you take a small wood floor and phase it just into the cart, not so far down that it starts making it vibrate. Put a second one to hold it. Now you can delete the ones underneath and it will stay. Here's another idea I came up with for it, where I flipped it up on its side and built around it so it looks kind of like a pantry. I'm sure there's all kinds of techniques out there for how to flip a cart up. But what I've done is I bring the cart to the edge of where I want it to end up standing up, and then I jump over it. And when you get on top and kind of balance, it'll let you hang there for a second or kind of stand there for a second and the rope comes loose. That's when you get off. Maybe take a step back. Make sure it doesn't fall back over again. Oops. If you're at the part of the game where you have a Karve, which only gives you 4 storage slots, one thing you can do to get more storage is put your cart right next to your boat. If your boat isn't quite low enough to push it straight on, just build yourself a little ramp, then destroy the cart. Then push the cargo up the ramp onto the Karve. If you get in a big storm or have a fight with a sea serpent, or for any reason these boxes fall out in the water, they float. And since these hold 4 items as well, every box is like another Karve storage box. Okay, so let's test this out. Can you pull someone around in the cart like it's your chariot? Wanna give me a ride, Hubs? Whee! It works! Yay! What if I sit down? Yes! Thanks for the ride. You could also grab some of your friends and do what Chariot the Viking did on his server and have cart races. How fun is that?
Go! Good luck, everybody. Look at that. Woohoo!
Or maybe you're long past the stage of the Karve and you want to do some serious carrying of resources back home. You can always carry carts on your longship. Now there's all kind of creative ways that you could try to push these onto a longship, since you can't build it directly on it. But I think the easiest way is just to build a little floor out over your longship, put the cart where you want it to be, then delete the floor. Makes it much easier to position them there as well. Probably works better when you delete the floor attached to the outside first, so the cart falls more straight down. So that's a dozen carts on top of a long ship. You could do as many as you dare. Until next time,
Happy gaming!
happy gaming!